We are.
Oh, I think.
So I'm not sure if we're live or not, everybody, but we think we might be after a whole lot of confusion. It's Saturday morning in Phuket, and the program is TNT, and there we are. We're actually on. Oh my God, I don't believe it. What a kerfuffle. Oh, by the way, we've got 15,000 subscribers. Yay us.
Nice.
So apologies for all the confusion. That's 25 minutes of pure hell. And for those people that are still waiting, I appreciate your patience. I apologise profusely for all the confusion. This is Nick, by the way.
Hello, everyone.
So let's sort of get into it, because we do have a lot to talk about. Can't believe what a kerfuffle. Anyway, we're live for now, so let's be grateful and we'll continue on. So we've got a whole lot of your comments that you were sending in the last couple of days. Maybe we should go through that. By the way, can you hear us? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Check.
Can you hear at the back there? For those people in the expensive seats, just rattle your jewellery, to quote John Lennon. Okay, how did you get the SWAT out? Good morning from Cha Arm. Boy, what a kerfuffle. Anyway, let's get on to it.
Okay. Marcus the hippie asks, "Hi,
Marcus the hippie.
Yeah. You comment on the cost of your average food shopping a few months ago. Has there been any noticeable increase in cost for you, i.e. inflation question?"
Yeah, I've noticed a rise in costs. We actually did a story in yesterday's TNT about some of the vendors who said that their raw materials for chicken and vegetables had gone up, in some cases, like double in price. So people coming along and wanting a 15 baht kebab, they were saying they just can't do it for that price anymore. And so they were having to put it up to 20 or 25 baht, and then people saying, oh, I don't want to buy it now. So a lot of these people were saying they're probably going to have to go back to their provinces. Have you noticed any sort of obvious? You probably don't pay for much. You got mum and dad.
That's funny. No, in terms of price increase, I'd say the Central Eatery in the bottom floor of Central by the grocery store, those prices have gone up a little bit since then.
The posh one.
I don't want to say posh because it's
like a bistro in the supermarket.
Yeah, it's good foreign food for at the time was a cheaper price, but now it has.
It's definitely gone up. Yeah, I noticed that a few weeks ago. Just like I noticed my cat food, some of the items, probably the imported ones, my cats only eat imported food, have gone up. So yeah, I think there has been a rise in prices. Oh gee, all the plans we had for today's program thrown out the window. Durian, thank you so much. I was going to be announcing a new program today, which is going to involve a bit more technical stuff, a few more wires, a few more microphones, and a bit more technology and software. Now I'm worrying if that's a good idea or not after this morning's kerfuffle. By the way, just to explain, the program comes through basically my iPhone 14, and it receives the 5G. It does all the processing in YouTube, and then we've got a laptop and an iPad here to monitor it. So it just seems my iPhone might have been having a bad morning. Anyway, so yeah, I think there has been a discernible rise in prices. Petrol has come down.
Yes. So
that's a big one, because if the diesel price was high, that would affect anything that was transported, including food. So, I mean, it's not absolutely everything is going up at the same rate, but certainly I've noticed the cost of some food items. Okay.
Nice. Arnold Ziffel asks,
do you know who Arnold Ziffel is?
I do not.
It was a character in a show called Petticoat Junction in the 1960s. I think that's a bit before your time?
I think a little bit.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit. No, I'm more of a Honeymooners kind of guy, personally.
Honeymooners? The old American
nice
sitcom.
beehive haircut going on.
Like from 1950s?
Yeah.
That Jackie Gleason?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Or Twilight Zone. I do like the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone was a very, very good series. So they could bring that back.
Yeah.
Well, they've
think
got
so as
Black
well.
Mirror that they've been doing late. Did you catch any of Black Mirror?
I've watched a little bit of it. It's all right, and I like that it's adapted to modern time.
Yes, it's sort of the later Twilight Zone. Sometimes a bit too bizarre for me. Okay.
Anyway, Mr. Ziffel says, "Good morning, Tim. 2 questions, if I may. Is there any signs that the Phuket tuk-tuk mafia is loosening its control over local transportation choices and prices?"
No. I would say that the famous or infamous Phuket tuk-tuk mafia is alive and well, and it's. I think it's still. Yeah, I don't think it's weakened at all. Governments have tried. Various police chiefs have tried. We've had the army come in and try, and nobody seems to be able to break the back of the tuk-tuk mafia. What it means is that there is a control on the prices of basically all taxis and tuk-tuks in Phuket, such that there's no meters being used, despite the law that you have to use a meter. None of them use a meter, and to get from the airport to Patong is 700 or 800 baht. Whereas if you actually ran it on a meter, I've done this before, I've done the maths on it, it would actually cost about 250 baht. So the prices that they're gouging from tourists are nearly 3 times what tourists should pay. Then going like along the west coast from one end of Patong to the other can cost up to 300 or 400 baht.
Wow.
Going from Patong to Karon, 400 or 500 baht. It's just ridiculous, the prices that tourists are having to pay. Now, there will be some people out there who will say, 400 or 500 baht, they all have to pay for that. The problem is that the locals are having to pay these same ridiculous prices, and it's just price gouging. It's nothing more. We would expect a decent service. If Patong and Phuket want to be considered world-class tourist destinations, they need to have a much better, more transparent transport system, and it's an ongoing problem. Almost unsolvable problem for Phuket, is my thoughts.
He also asks,
I'm still shaking from all the last 25 minutes, my God. So sorry.
Ziffa also asks, is bicycle riding a safer choice than the apparently dangerous motorbike option, especially at the current high season? Thank you.
Okay, riding bikes. Getting on a motorbike has got a certain amount of risk. Do you ride a motorbike?
I do.
Yeah, so do I. And I honestly love riding my motorbike. And if you need to do a short 1 or 2 kilometre trip, it's much faster on a motorbike than in a car, because if you're in the flow of traffic with the cars, you just have to obviously travel with the cars. But if you're in a motorbike, you can sort of get around all that. It's just so much more convenient. Having said that, we understand there is more of a risk, but if you keep at the speed limit, you don't drink drive, you stick to the road rules, you wear a bike helmet, I mean, you are going to be relatively safe.
Yeah. If I may, I've been driving to school since year 9, year 8 even, later half of year 8, every single day. And in terms of safety, it's always safer to travel by car, but traffic now, especially having been used to the COVID traffic, is miserable. Trying to get to any place on this island is a challenge.
So you're down in like Rawai, Chalong?
Yes, I'm in Rawai.
So, I mean, that is obviously pretty thick with tourists. Here on Tep Kasat 3 Road, where I sort of live on this east coast of the island, well, by the way, we're not going to talk about Phuket all day, but I'm on a main road, so I'm getting a lot of the passenger vans, the people coming in from the airport to and from, and the traffic has been measurably busy. And yeah, if you're travelling along the west coast to get to work, it's just hell. Well, it was really during Christmas and New Year. It has eased up a little bit. Speaking of Christmas, you went back to the States?
I did, yeah.
So with the whole family?
Had a white Christmas this year, yes.
Was it snowing?
Pouring down snow. Blizzard, actually.
Where is this? Up in New Hampshire or something?
We traveled
Rhode Island?
No, we traveled to Colorado and went skiing up in the Rockies in Winter Park. And so during that, we got minus 22 degrees Celsius. I love the cold. Anyway, Tim doesn't really like the cold very much. But it was, I found it excellent. It gave me an excuse to wear warm clothes.
Okay, so I was reading the comments. What a strange comment. You are channeling your inner Lou and Andy. Do you know Lou and Andy?
Is that the old silent film?
No, not Abbott and Costello. Or Lou and Andy, I think, are out of Little Britain. I'm not sure which one's Lou, which one's Andy. Don't go there. So, yeah, traffic's been hell. If you're on a man-powered or a person-powered bicycle, then I think you've got more problems, because at least the motorbikes are moving roughly at the same speed as the traffic. If you're on I call them treadleys, if you're on a bicycle, then you're not going to be travelling at the same speed. There's a lot of concession or good manners from the vehicles and the trucks and everybody else. Is your microphone okay?
Yeah, yes. I think it's all right.
It is. It's hiding.
I was just checking. Let's see. Marcus, again, when you get your new car and do the drive from Phuket to Bangkok, can you do some separate videos of the actual drive, dash camera style?
So I am, from tomorrow. Tomorrow morning I leave, I'm driving from Phuket to Bangkok. I was going to be doing the trip in my new car, the electric car. And the idea being, how far can I go? What's the performance of the vehicle? Reporting on how it's going, where I can recharge, do I have to pay for the recharging, blah, blah, blah. I thought it would have made an interesting vlog, but the delivery of my car's been delayed. So I'm going up in my old car, which I usually rent out, but I'm actually doing the trip in a good old Honda HRV, and I don't think many people are terribly interested in that. So, but I will be doing some vlogs probably about topics that are hot at the moment. I was going to read some things here, which were some of the comments that were made during the week about various things. So I might just go through those. Jay said, just cancelled my trip from the UK from late January and February and cost £450 in cancellation fees. Brilliant. Now, you know what all this is about.
This is about
the COVID vaccine.
Yes, the new laws.
So they've announced, and there is a certain amount of confusion. Just to background, on Thursday afternoon, the Public Health Minister said, amongst other things, because of the Chinese coming back to Thailand, that people are going to have to show proof of at least 2 COVID vaccines when they check in to come to Thailand. Probably from January the 11th. Now it's the 8th tomorrow. I think the first flights are actually coming in on Monday. Now since that, and it's been reported in the Bangkok Post, Thai PBS World, which is a government publication, The Nation, a host of overseas publications. Now there was one publication that's been quoted by people, and even us, which showed a contrary, and you had that on Bloomberg.
I did, yes.
That the Deputy Governor of the TAT saying people won't have to show proof of vaccine when they arrive. Everybody's saying, well, which one's correct? Now, I did some checking, and that actual article was posted before the Public Health Minister came out with the announcement. So it seems the TAT Governor was speaking, at the time, saying what they believed was the current policy, but it changed. So at the moment, and this is notable, since all those articles were published, no one has come out and said, oh, no, that's not right. So at the moment, those stories stand, but we still don't have any final details about when exactly people are going to have to show their proof of 2 COVID vaccinations. Can the vaccinations be from anywhere at any time? Could you have had a vaccine back in April 2021 like me, and still it's probably not doing anything to my body now, but would it pass muster? So this guy, Jay, is just one of many people that have written into TNT saying that he's cancelled his trip. For anybody who's waiting, I would say just chill, just wait for a little bit longer, and just wait until maybe at least Monday or Tuesday to see if somebody's going to come and not only confirm the situation, although it's already been confirmed by the Public Health Minister saying it, it hasn't been passed by Cabinet, that's correct, and we don't have any details. Bit of a mess, isn't it? Do you want to read this one?
Yes. Lone Wolf. There could be a lot of cancellations or change of destination up to Thailand, but they have just shut down any targets they had for incoming tourist numbers.
Well, that's true. I think this is going to obviously cause a certain amount of consternation, and people are going to be thinking, well, should I go to Thailand or not? They don't seem to be able to make up their mind. So I did a bit of a guess the other day. Yes, Alpha Bravo, it's a BYD Atto 3, which I've ordered. It was meant to be delivered by the start of January, but I haven't got it yet. How many people, what do you think average is the number of people that are vaccinated?
Here.
No, around the world.
Around the world.
So all these people that are saying, well, I can't come now, they're obviously unvaccinated for whatever reason, by choice or whatever. But what percentage of people are vaccinated, do you guess? I made a guess, and I won't even tell you what I said yesterday.
Okay.
What do you guess?
With the majority of the Western world enforcing this globally,
Sorry, we've got plenty of time.
65%.
You think 65% are vaccinated?
Everyone in the zone.
Okay, I said that there was probably between 10 and 20%.
Really?
So, who aren't vaccinated.
Oh, who aren't? Okay.
So you're thinking it's about 35, 40%. I'm thinking it's about 10 to 20%. So look, we don't really know. I think in the United States about 60% of people are vaccinated. In some countries it's more. I know in Singapore it's about 90 or 95%. So very high percentage there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, for those people that aren't, this is obviously of concern to you. Here's another comment.
Affirming the Chinese will be treated equally translates to everyone that enters must be at least double vaxxed. It's obvious this policy wouldn't be enacted if it wasn't for the prospect of arrivals from China.
This is from Siam I Am. Do you know who Siam I Am? His photo is Yul Brynner from The King and I.
That's what I was going
which
to
is
say.
the movie about Thailand. We can't talk about that. So, interesting situation there. If the Chinese weren't coming back and they weren't having the problems with COVID-19 in China, then yes, this wouldn't be happening. Okay, this one from, I love this one, from Captain Savio. The WHO, World Health Organization, is a complete tool for President Xi of China. Xi had Tedros, who's the director of WHO, on his knees. Now Tedros is asking the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to cooperate. Yeah, right, mate. Millions are not dying in Thailand, but the population still walks around outdoors with facial diapers. I give up. Tim, you're clueless. Facial diapers, I think he's talking about face masks. There was a beauty I haven't found. You can...
Mark Simmons. Hello, Tim. You asked a while back about tipping. Hotels, 20 on the pillow per day. Fuel, I give 20 if I fill up my Helix. 10 for the Wave.
I think that's a Toyota Hilux.
Or,
one of those
the
pickups.
Toyota trucks, cafes, I leave 10 in a saucer. I'm not wealthy, but I'm certainly more comfortable than many here. I like to spread it around or weave it. Mark.
So I'm tipping that Mark is American. Because Americans tip. It's just part of the culture. Does your family tip when you go out?
Well, of course when we go out, but I'm not sure about the whole fuel thing. I've never tipped at a gas station.
The thing is, I mean, I know in Australia, and I experienced when I was back there in October last year, when you're driving and you go to a petrol station, you have to put the petrol in your car yourself.
Or servo. Yeah.
A servo.
Servo.
So here in Thailand, of course, there's a fleet of people that run out and
do everything for
they're
you.
wanting to clean your windscreen and do this and do that, and it's an interesting situation. I don't tip. Culturally in Australia, if you go to a really nice restaurant, you might tip, but it's not expected if you go to like a bistro or a cafe. Generally, tipping isn't part of the culture, but I know the wage structure is different in America, so people that work in some of those restaurants have got very low pay, and they make it with tips.
Yes.
So it's a different sort of business structure that requires people to tip. But yeah, I mean, I don't, even if I go to a decent restaurant here in Thailand, I don't usually tip because there's usually a service charge. So yeah, well, thank you very much, Mark, for your comments about that. Okay, so here's another one.
Who me? You know the Philippines are not doing this, and you can open a bank account there by walking into a bank with cash. No jumping through all the Thai hoops just to open an account. Only downside is the Philippine food is not as good.
So this person's saying that they're not checking vaccination certificates in Philippines, and saying that you can get a bank account by walking into a bank with cash. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, but I think obviously less regulation here in Thailand, unless you've got a passport, some sort of registration certificate or a visa. When I say registration, like a registration of where you're living, you can't get a bank account. Only downside is the Philippine food is not as good. I have to agree with
Someone doesn't like Jollibee.
Yeah, I don't think you can say. Well, I mean, there might be people that like Filipino food, but yeah, Thai food is obviously in a world of its own. So they're the comments, some of the comments from last week that cover some of the things we were talking about. You got any other questions to go through? We've gone through all those?
Yeah, we have a couple more. So we have Tim Marcus the Hippie again. I mentioned the condition of the roads. I was very interested in the road between Phuket and Krabi, Kalak area. No, that's not it. James Went. Hello, Tim. When they say you need a certificate showing 2 COVID vaccines, how recent do they have to be? Just that no one ever mentions this.
Well, they haven't, and that's the problem. That all they've said is you have to show certificates of 2 COVID vaccines. So, yeah, I had mine back in April 2021, which is nearly 2 years ago. So, and does it matter if you had Sinovac, which is the Chinese vaccine, which has been shown to be less effective than some of the other vaccines, and certainly not as effective as the newer mRNA vaccines, which seem to even have quite a good result in reducing hospitalisation and death for the Omicron and later variants. So, yeah, that hasn't been specified. What about people under the age of 12 or under the age of 5? Do they have to produce 2 vaccine certificates? I mean, there are a lot of questions still to be answered, and since the announcement was made on Thursday, there hasn't been any further details, and there hasn't been any denials that there was some mistake in that communication. And it's been widely publicised now. So I don't think we're any the wiser on Saturday morning than we were on Thursday afternoon. And there are obviously people who are panicking, who have gone out and they've purchased flights in good faith to come to Thailand, and they're now wondering, if they're not vaccinated, if they'll be able to get on their planes. They will, of course, be checking this at the check-in at the airport. They may also check in once you get to Thailand at immigration or something. But, I mean, I think once you're on the plane and you're in Thailand, you've got a pretty good chance. But if they don't let you on the plane, then, well, you've obviously got problems.
Frank in Thailand.
Hi, Frank. He's a regular watcher of the program.
I understood that you were planning to make a special about a retirement visa. That might be a good time to address the 90-day reporting online. While the process is fairly easy, finding the correct website link isn't. It took me some time on Google to find it, sadly not standard available on the immigration website.
This is 90-day reporting. You don't have to worry about this because you're born in Thailand, aren't you?
Yes.
Born in Thailand. So it's easy for you. But the rest of us, a lot of us have to do 90-day reporting. Doing it online, for some people they have no problems, but the majority of people that have tried online reporting, including myself, have not been able to get it working. And you have to register for it, and
is it some goofy website that looks broken every time you load it up and you're not sure if it's the real one because it looks horrible?
Pretty much, that's about it. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of success. Otherwise, you do have to front up at an immigration office, and it only takes a minute. But if it's busy, you obviously have to wait to get served. At the immigration in Phuket town, I have no idea who that is, at the immigration in Phuket town, there's a drive-through service, so you can drive your car.
I heard about that.
The thing is, they've rigged it up so that the booth where they check is on the passenger side. So you drive in and you have to sort of lean across and try and... So you end up getting out of your car and going round to the booth. It's just... why didn't somebody think of that? Anyway, but they do have a drive-through service, and I'm sure that might be in other parts of Thailand as well.
Wonderful. Moving on to more technological subjects.
Oh, don't talk about technology today, please.
Marcus asks, how is the construction of the high-speed rail system progressing? Sorry.
Now, I actually did make some notes on this.
I had the same screenshot available on my phone as well from the Bloomberg article.
There you go. Yes, so this visitors to Thailand won't be required to produce proof of vaccination at this time, according to Tanes Petsuwan, Deputy Governor of the Tourism Authority of Thailand. But that quote was made before the announcement was made by the Public Health Minister. What happened to my... Here we go.
Bangkok Post.
Here we go. Bangkok Post. High-speed train still on track. So just cutting through all this, there is a high-speed train being built from Bangkok through Nakhon Ratchasima, Korat, up to Nong Khai on the border with Laos in northeastern Thailand. And it was all signed back, they kicked it off back in 2014. Some delays in construction during the first phase, which is the 179 billion baht, 253 kilometre standard gauge railway from Bangkok to Nakhon Ratchasima, will still open in 2026. So that's another 3 years to go until that first section of the high-speed rail is opened, and then just sort of cutting to the construction expected to take around 4 years for the second phase, which is Nakhon Ratchasima to Nong Khai, should therefore begin in 2024, which will allow sufficient time. It should open the entire route of the high-speed rail project in the middle of 2029. So we're all going to have a few more wrinkles by the time this is all open. So it looks like another 3 years for that first section of the high-speed rail to be open, and then another 3 or 4 years after that for the section from Nakhon Ratchasima to Nong Khai. But this article was in the Bangkok Post. Oh dear, who's that?
For Dina the Diva.
For who? I can't read
Miss
that.
Knives.
Can we, I just...
This isn't the
I'm
iPad.
using my finger to... It doesn't work. The Snives, thank you very much. That's much appreciated. And I apologise for the problems we had at the start of today. We simply could not get the iPhone connected. We restarted, we tried different Wi-Fi, we put on pink hot pants, we did everything. Nothing would work, but we did get connected eventually. So thank you very much, the Snives. It's very, very generous and kind. So it looks like this is only published 2 days ago in the Bangkok Post. So hopefully you could... The article was titled "High-Speed Train Still on Track." So if you check Bangkok Post, "High-Speed Train Still on Track," you'll be able to read the article. So hopefully that answers the question.
Let's see here. Marcus again. On the bicycle front, is there any EV bikes or scooters, the smaller stand-up type, like in Western cities that you just pay to ride and leave at your destination, like a city bike or a Santander bicycle?
Yeah, so these are like normal treadly man-powered bikes, but with electric assistance.
Yes.
To help you get up hills and things. I don't see them around much.
I've only seen them at Boat Avenue. They're the ones that you rent with your phone and you can ride it around. But I haven't seen anyone.
Is that a scooter or is it a bike?
They have both scooters and bicycles.
Okay. So if you've got electric scooters, all these electric bikes, if they're I think they're more than like something kilowatt, I don't know, 50 kilowatt maybe, then you actually they have to be registered to be on the road. But below a certain voltage or wattage, you don't have to ride them. So Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I just haven't seen those electric-powered bicycles. I haven't seen them much. I know you can buy them out of China. You can buy them on Lazada and have them delivered to your home. But exactly where you can use them and what that wattage is, whereby you can ride them without registering them or without a license, I don't know what that is. EV scooters like motorbikes, yes, there are a couple of, there's one called I think it's called the Mio.
In Phuket town?
They've got an office in just out the front here actually. There are a few electric motorcycles which you can legally buy, and they do have to be registered to be on the road, and you would have to have a motorbike license to ride them. And they're great because, unlike a lot of the other scooters, they're almost completely silent, which is a nice welcome change, because when you've got thousands and thousands of motorbikes running around, and some of the young Thai gentlemen like to hype them up to probably make more noise than they need to.
I might be one of those young Thai gentlemen.
How did you make your bike make more noise than it needs to? You can put something on the exhaust?
Yes, well, you can use a slip-on, and an aftermarket one where you just take off the end and slip on. So I have a slip-on, a Morawaki, and that makes it slightly louder than average, but still legal.
So your intention when you bought this was to annoy people with the noise from your motorbike?
I do like to annoy people with the noise.
Okay. And what pleasure do you gain from making this additional noise?
With the additional noise, and you cook the bike, I like to say cook.
I've got a good answer, by the way.
In between 6,000 and 8,000 RPM, and you let off the throttle, it pops and it crackles, so you can get a flame to come out the back. That's all I can say. I like the flame. It looks cool.
Even though it's at the back of the bike and you can't see it?
Everyone else can.
Right. I was going to say that it's for safety, so that people can hear you coming.
That as well. So lots of bikers in America wear patches that say, loud pipes save lives. And it's the idea that because you're on a motorcycle, they can't see you, but they can hear that you're there before they see you.
I've got a sneeze coming on. Bullshit. Okay, good on you. So yeah, look, there are electric motorbikes available. I haven't seen the electric bicycles. I haven't seen many of those. And it may be because the law isn't completely clear about whether they need to be registered or not. But you can buy them. I've seen them on Lazada. But I haven't seen them sort of available in shops to buy. And Nick wouldn't buy one because they're far too quiet.
Far too quiet. How am I supposed to know if it's on?
Yeah. That's a funny thing with electric cars, is you put your foot on the accelerator to get started and it's just completely silent.
It must be so surreal.
It is. Some of them you can actually add noise, add artificial noise, so that
the speaker system on the inside, right?
Yes. So it provides, so you actually know the engine's working. But even when you're doing 60, even 100 kilometres an hour, the engine is basically completely silent. But of course, by the time you're doing that sort of speed, you're getting a bit of road noise from the tyres as well as wind noise. But it's much quieter experience, which is one of the things I'm looking forward to. Over to you.
Nong Wasao.
Oh, we have problems with his name every time. Nong Wasao. Yes.
When you get pulled over by the Thai police, do they put a breathalyzer on you?
I've never been breathalyzed in Thailand. When I was in Australia, I was driving. Well, I ended up driving from Melbourne down south and then up along the coast to Sydney, about 1,000 kilometres. Ended up being breathalyzed twice.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they breathalyze you quite often there, and it's very hard to go over the speed limit without getting caught. I got fined as well for going 42 kilometres an hour in a 40 kilometre zone. I mean, I could have walked faster than that. Anyway, that aside, what was I going to say?
Breathalyzer in Thailand?
I've never been. Have you been breathalyzed?
I've never been breathalyzed.
Have you ever seen somebody?
I have never seen that as well.
They don't seem to breathalyze people. They don't certainly have the the places where they randomly stop people on the side road and say, "Excuse me, sir, would you blow into this?" Doesn't happen. I would go, "Sorry, I don't understand." "No, I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying." I would just go, "I'm sorry, I can't hear a thing. I'm a foreigner. I'm old and feeble. I'm sorry."
Mr. Darcy asks, what's the unemployment rate looking like in Thailand at the moment, outside of the obvious tourist hotspots? Surely world events and inflation are having an impact.
I don't know what the official number is, but I do know that historically Thailand's unemployment rate is very low. I think some of it is underreported for sure, and there would be a lot of people that work with their families that would describe themselves as employed, even though there probably isn't any contract between the parents and their kids, of course. So historically, unemployment's been very low. And if people have gone to, say, Pattaya to work, and then there is no work, they just sort of go back to their family. And so, and they just work with the family business. So they wouldn't be registered as unemployed. So, but I understand that unemployment, of course, it would have gone up during COVID-19, but a lot of those people would have gone back to family or friends and stayed with them, and probably not registered as unemployed. Part of the reason being that there isn't like a welfare system, so people aren't registering to receive money. So it's a bit harder to actually get the numbers of unemployed. Okay, over to you. What do we got?
When are the next Thai federal elections, and what is the mood of the electorate?
This is from Tim Shaw. Good morning, Tim. Okay, when are the next... Well, I'll try and give a short answer about this. The latest the Thai Parliament can run is up to March the 23rd, because the last government was voted in on the March the 23rd, 2019, 4-year term. So if the Parliament runs its full term, it'll be dissolved at the latest March the 23rd, 2019. The earliest an election could be called would be May the 7th. So that's the hot date that everybody's looking to. Having said that, all these MPs that are resigning at the moment to move to another party, to manoeuvre themselves for this next election whenever it will happen, when they resign and they're not MPs anymore. So the number of MPs has been dropping. Like a third of the Parliament has resigned over recent months to move to another party. So they can either have a by-election, but the government is trying to stop these by-elections from happening. And even the Thai Prime Minister is going to announce in the next 3 or 4 days that he's moving to a new political party. Now, he was never voted in as an MP, so it doesn't apply to him. But all these other MPs that are resigning and moving to another party, they actually resign from Parliament. So the Thai Prime Minister might think, look, this is just getting ridiculous, I'm going to call an early election. So we've only got, 2 months to go for the rest of this Parliament. Will they let it run all the way through? I think they probably will, because the Conservative government at the moment is looking very unlikely that it could get re-elected. Quite unpalatable. All the polls are showing that some of the opposition parties, Pheu Thai and the Move Forward Party, are going to win literally in a landslide. So if the polls are even slightly correct, that the Conservative side of politics doesn't really have a chance of being re-elected, that means Prawit Wongsuwon, who's the head of the Palang Pracharat, the current Prime Minister who's moving to this new party, even Anaton Shaviragun. Imagine how popular he is in the electorate at the moment. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to form a government. Anaton has made it quite clear, though, that he will very happily move to side with the opposition parties if they don't get 50% of the vote. Well, hopefully that's answered the question. Do you have any questions about that? Your eyes were glazing over.
I don't really pay attention to the whole Thai government thing, because I don't really...
You have to vote.
Seek interest in it.
You'll have to vote in a couple of months.
I will have to vote.
You will have to vote. It's okay, I'll tell you who to vote for.
All right, thanks.
Because I can't vote.
Stefan Velhartner asks, Is renting a house a showstopper for you to invest in solar panels for lowering your electric bill?
Well, that's a really interesting question. In fact, I'm going to interview a person who's gone through this whole process and installed solar power in their house, somebody you know well.
Really?
Your dad. So, yes, we're going to be talking about this in about 2 weeks' time, which is all about solar and its availability in Thailand, the costs here in Thailand, the savings that can be made, and the way that you can plug into the electricity grid. So, really good questions. I rent my property, and because of that, I'm not going to invest in solar technology. If I can get a 5 or a 10-year lease on my next property, or even the property I'm in now, unlikely, then I would probably invest in some sort of solar power, because I know, even before I speak to Peter, that the cost of the technology has come down quite a lot, and the panels have improved in their quality and output as well. So, but we are going to do a special program about that.
Alpha Bravo asks, does anybody know why the 71-year-old English gentleman got shot on his motorbike 4 times?
Okay, this happened in Chonburi. I could do a very quick search on this. Let me see if I can find this quickly for you. Got to go to the... Excuse us while we're just searching for this story. Pattaya. Why is that not coming up? The Pattaya News. And
I think we've caused a bit of an argument between electric vehicles in the chat.
okay, what are some of the comments people have got about electric vehicles?
Well, some of them are, they're so silent in China, so they're bloody dangerous in regards to them sneaking up behind you. It's true, when I was in Shenzhen a couple years ago, when you stand on the corner of the street in China, it's silent. All the cars go by, but you wouldn't be able to hear them coming. So it's a little bit strange.
Well, I mean, it's a different sort of dynamic that we're all going to have to get used to, because whether you like it or not, there's no doubt that electric cars are the future. They're just so much more efficient. Now, I understand, of course, there's the production costs, there's the issues about the batteries, and there's also issues surrounding their long-term costs and the servicing. But there's about half the number of moving parts in an electric car compared to a similar sized internal combustion engine car. About 4,500 parts in a conventional car, about 2,500 parts in a similar sized electric car. So as far as servicing is concerned, there's not much to do except for like brakes and tyres and things. The actual engine requires very, very little maintenance, if any. Now, I have done my homework, and I do know, for example, that the BYD has a whole new battery technology which is much more efficient. It's much less, it has much less environmental impact. The batteries don't heat up or explode on impact, and it's been quite an advance on, for example, the batteries that are used on the Tesla. There will be a lot more and a lot faster advances in these electric car technologies. Where does the power come from? That's obviously a central question. And if the power is from like burning coal, then it's still quite inefficient. But the actual electric cars are more efficient at using the available power. So I did all my homework, and I came up with the idea that I thought it would be more efficient and have less impact on the environment long term than a similar sized internal combustion engine car. So read out some of the other comments.
Yes.
Hey Tim, I think you're wrong on EVs, says Fred. I think you're wrong, Fred. But thanks for...
I do have a question though. Have you seen the occupation, the grip that China has in certain African countries that allow them to mine the lithium
Sure.
in Africa? And they're tearing apart some of these countries for it.
Yeah, sure. And I think these lithium-ion batteries, again, the BYD, these new batteries, which are called blade batteries, have a different chemical composition. And that was one of the reasons that I went for them, because their batteries, the chemicals were sourced from much less environmentally destructive means. So I think for people, the electric battery technology from 5 years ago, which did cause a lot of negative publicity, a lot has changed since then. And I think you need to read up on some of these latest technologies, including the blade battery on BYD cars. BYD, who will this year become the world's largest manufacturer of electric vehicles, as they will surpass Tesla.
Wow.
A retired British engineer was shot to death in Pattaya while travelling home last night, which was January the 5th. The cause of the incident remains a mystery. The gruesome shooting occurred while the victim, Neil Roger, was travelling home on a red Scoopy. That's a motorbike by Honda. And it happened in Soi Khao Makok 1 in the Huai Yai sub-district of Banglamung district, basically Pattaya. The 70-year-old was shot 4 times and passed away instantly on the spot. No, I don't think we know anything more. Police examined his body, found 4 gunshots. Police met the victim's wife at the incident scene. The 38-year-old said the victim was a British engineer, chose to retire in Pattaya. He just returned to Thailand from England. On the day of the shooting, the victim reportedly went to a party with his friends and did not come home. The wife said she grew worried and was heartbroken when the authorities called about her loss. So we don't actually have any further information. I don't know why he was shot 4 times. Seems that there's a lot more to that story than we seem to know at the moment. But thank you to our viewer who was alerting us to it. How long have we been going? Okay.
7.
How long have we been actually going? Oh God.
About an hour.
What a mess it was. Yeah.
With Cheeky Bad Boy says, with all the possible entry requirements going into Thailand, do you think they will introduce entertainment curfews if they see an increase in the total amount of COVID cases?
Oh dear. Look, I think there's obviously a risk of allowing Chinese visitors into Thailand, even if they have to show their COVID vaccines. Most of them could still be carrying COVID-19, even if they're vaccinated. There has been reports about a flight into Italy and a flight into South Korea where a lot of the Chinese passengers were found to be COVID-19 positive. At the moment, the understanding is that the variants circulating around China are of the weaker Omicron variety, and it's some Thai doctors have said because of that they're not really concerned, and that the Thai medical system will be able to handle anybody that has a more severe reaction to the virus, maybe needs to be hospitalised. So I think there's obviously a fear. If there is a huge rise in cases and it sort of gets to the point where hospitals are put under some sort of strain, then I think the first thing the government would do is probably restrict people coming in from China. Although once the horse is bolted, it's a bit hard to close the door again. So I don't know if the government is keen on, I'm absolutely positive they don't want to put any more restrictions or put restrictions back on things like nightlife. They've just got tourism going again. The very, very last thing they'll want to do is to lock things down again. I don't think it's going to happen, personally. What do you think?
I don't think Thailand can afford to shut that down either. Entertainment here, at least, is a very central part, a very large part of the economy. And there's the whole Patong aspect of it, but there's also boxing matches and the boxing economy, if you will. And I don't think that Thailand can afford...
The boxing economy.
Well, you see how many famous celebrities also come here to train as well. Tons of people have done it before.
I love all the trucks that drive through Patong
going real fighting, boxing stadium.
Tonight.
Yes. Yes. That's very true.
You can't walk through Patong without hearing all that. And there's these two sort of 12-year-olds up the top going, they're bored sideways. They're paid 100 baht an hour to stand on top with a pair of shorts pretending they're boxing. And they're about 45 kilograms wringing wet.
Class of 58 asks, do you think levels of mask wearing vary in different parts of Thailand?
Well, I think there is. If you go to Bangkok, a lot of people are still masked up walking around the streets. And if you go onto the public transport, almost 100% of people, and they're still saying on the trains, we would advise you to wear a mask at this time. So if you go up into the rural areas, I think it's less apparent. If you go to the tourist areas, it's also less apparent because most foreigners won't walk around with a mask. But even in those tourist areas, you'll find Thais in the restaurants and in hotels are still wearing masks. So it's lumpy. There's no fixed... The rule is you don't have to wear a mask if you're in public in Thailand. They're not reintroducing compulsory mask wearing with the Chinese arriving from Monday this week. So I don't really have an answer for that. Yeah, but I think certainly in the city, in Bangkok, there's still a lot of people walking around with masks. What do you do if you go to Bangkok? Do you wear a mask or not?
I choose not to. I've seen the other side. I've already experienced freedom, so I can't go back.
You walk around with your hands on your hips saying, I don't wear a mask.
Well, I don't necessarily advertise it that way, but I'd just rather not because it's that I don't really care anymore.
I have a mask in my pocket if I'm going in public, and if everybody around me is wearing a mask, I'll just put it on because I don't really want to stand out. That's my answer.
Lots of these comments are talking about old cars.
Old cars.
Yeah, here we go. Hans Schellenberg asks, I am thinking about solar at our property in Isan. Does the PEA buy excess power production? If so, how much per kilowatt hour?
You've got a better access to an answer than I have.
I don't think you can sell it back to the grid necessarily, but what it does do is, how can I phrase this? What it does do is it's almost becoming free if you're making excess power. If you also have a battery as well, you can save that for later and use that yourself in your own time.
Does your system at your house have a battery?
No, we do not have a battery. It generates so much that it doesn't need one. So
wow.
Yeah, well, our entire south-facing roof is covered with solar panels, so there is plenty of excess, but the grid does not give you money to buy it back.
So you can't sell it back to the grid?
You cannot sell it back.
We'll be speaking to Nick's father, who's done all this and has all the answers. It's going to be an interview in a couple of weeks. I should also point out that next week, we're going to be joined by two people, 4 microphones. Oh my God.
We have a Yeti. I have a Yeti as well. You have a Yeti.
Oh, okay.
So we could do that.
I don't know how we're going to do it. Probably do it at my place where it's a bit quieter too. And we're going to be talking about retirement visas. And this is not just retirement visas, but long stay visas, elite visas, O visas, OA visas, which are the retirement visas. So yeah, we're going to be in depth, and you can ask as many questions as you like. And I hope we don't have the same problems with the technology next week that we had today. And again, I apologise for all that. I think Nick can attest to the fact that we were running around like idiots trying to fix it. Two half-smart people trying to fix it up.
Tom Shannon says, you mentioned Italy. Oh, sorry, this is about another comment. I'm running out of comments here.
All right, so it's probably a good time to wrap it up. I think we ended up covering all the things we wanted to. We addressed your comments and questions. You've all been having a bit of a chat in the comments section there. So yeah, I think that's about enough for today. I thank you very much for dropping in. I thank you, Nick, for dropping in as well.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, we eventually got there. I can't believe the problems we had. We still don't know what the problem was because eventually it worked. But there you go. I'm going to have to go back to the program and edit out all the rubbish at the start.
We have one more question that I can quick answer. Can solar run air conditioning, especially at night, even via batteries, as I would imagine they draw down a huge amount of power? Inverter appliances are available in Power Buy, Home Pro, Bon and Beyond, and multiple Thai outlets. As long as it has the inverter label on it, it's very efficient. And as far as I know, our house has 4 air cons running at the same time.
But you can't run them at night.
Well,
Because
using the charge that you have from the day.
So you got a battery to store it.
It feeds off. So as the sun goes down a little bit, there's a little bit of excess that slowly drains out. But you make up for it the following day with the charge. So it balances out, it cancels out.
I've got no idea. All right, so we are going to have an expert talk about this.
Yes.
So I would have thought you're probably going to need some sort of battery to run the aircon at night. But the fact that you can run it all during the day for free, that is a big saving, because people that do use power in Thailand, most of the power costs seem to be air conditioning. I don't use aircon, or very rarely do I use it. Maybe on a really hot day I'll turn it on for an hour or two before I go to bed, but then I turn it off and just use the fan. But if you're living and sleeping with air conditioning, you'll find your power bills are going to be quite a lot higher. My power bills are never more than 600 or 700 baht a month, and that's in a 3-bedroom house. So I think using the aircon does push the power bill up quite a lot. Is that about it?
I think that's about it.
Okay, so apologies again for the mess at the start. I'll go back and I'll trim that off. And next week we're speaking about retirement. So get all your retirement questions in a row, and we'll try and cover that from places to retire, to documentation, to the role of visa agents, and to all the different types of retirement visa that are available. Thank you to those people who joined in today. Thank you very much to the people who made a quite unexpected and unsolicited donation. It's much appreciated. And I'll be back, of course, on Monday. Halfway to Bangkok, I'll be in Chumpon on Monday morning. I'm meant to be in Chumpon. I might be stranded I might be in Myanmar, kidnapped by pirates. Who knows? One way or another, we'll do the program on Monday morning. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Breathe.